Do you ever go back and look at your numbers? Just recently, I was revisiting the brands that sold well on Poshmark, as well as perhaps maybe the brands that I still have sitting in my closet and haven't really been selling. So in today's video, we're going to be going over the brands that I am choosing to leave behind in 2021 and maybe being a little more specific on in 2022. Let's go. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Ashley Wheeler. I am a full-time reseller and I am able to work from home as well as manage my family. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about some of the brands that I have been selling on Poshmark and eBay and why I am choosing to skip on them more frequently, or what am I going to be picking up instead of what I have been picking up. The first brand we are going to be talking about is JCrew. So if you guys have been resellers for a while, if not, JCrew has been a brand that has done phenomenal in the past. And I still feel like there are items in JCrew that do well. However, their old styles, do not pick them up. They have so many different tags that they have gone through, so it does make it a little easier to begin to realize, hey, this is an older tagged item, this is a newer tagged item. The other thing that they do have is on the fabric tag, you can generally see the style name as well as something that'll say like SP04, which means it was an item that was sold in the spring of 2004. With those different tricks that JCrew has, it's going to be really easy for me to decipher if something is an older style or a newer style. So moving forward, I'm going to be focusing primarily on those newer styled items and in the categories of more of their sweaters and their coats. If you do go to the Poshmark website, you can actually search in a brand that you want to look up more information about. Then filter it by high to low, and then proceed with filtering it to sold. And you'll be able to see with every single one of these brands that I'm going to be talking about today, what in these brands are still selling pretty well. So if you are someone who would like to do some research yourself, I highly recommend going and doing that. As well, you can do a very similar thing on eBay. Whichever platform you're on, always make sure you're taking a look at the comps and primarily taking a look at, in this brand, what tends to sell really well. All of these brands, except for this next one, is brands that I'm going to continue to be picking up, but a very small category of this brand that I'm going to be choosing to pick up. But like I said, except for this next brand, which is Lucky Brand. Do you guys have good experience with this brand? I am very, very curious. Initially, when I first started reselling, this was a brand that I found a lot of in denim jeans, more specifically in men's. And I felt like this was gonna do so well. I was so excited to be finding this brand, but oh my gosh, this brand does not sell. Like, I can't get this item to sell. In fact, I'm choosing not to pick up this brand, period, anymore. I don't care if it's newer tagged. I don't care if it's a newer style. I don't care how cheap it is. I might, if I do see something that might be good quality, I might choose to pick it up and maybe send it off to ThredUp. I'm still debating on how I want to build a relationship with consigners this year, but I just don't want to end up getting stuck with having to sell this brand. I don't feel like it moves for us, and it's becoming more of a frustration than anything. This brand, if you do look at it on Poshmark, their leather jackets are selling pretty well, but even when you put in Lucky Brand and put highest to lowest and check out sold, they're only selling for like $250. Like, this brand doesn't have a lot of high resale value anymore. The next brand is Show Me Your Moo Moo. Now, I will preface by saying I do not find this brand often out here. Anytime I've ever had this brand, it's either come from like a wholesale box or from a wholesale box. I think I've only found like one or two things from this brand before, and one of them was because it was from the FabFitFun box. So this brand does super well in their bridal gowns as well as kimonos. So I'm gonna stick with looking at those items if I'm looking for this brand, or anything that's like a super rare print. If you look at the items that I have sold from this brand, a lot of them are just solid colors, and I think that's why maybe they didn't sell for well. If you can find bridal gowns, which still is kind of an off and on with me because I'm always afraid that they're gonna be like altered, and I don't want to purchase something that, you know, might be a size 12 but has been altered down to be closer to a size 10. So bear that in mind if you're looking at bridal gowns. But if you do find Show Me Your Moo Moo brand bridal gowns, they do sell for an amazing amount of money. Brand number 4 is Halogen. I love this brand, and I've picked this brand up so many times. This brand is a brand that is at Nordstrom. Geez Louise, how many times can I say brand? I adore this brand. In fact, there's been a couple of shirts that I have kept myself before, and I was taking a look at the stats. I have 17 items listed in my store right now, and it generally takes 118 days to sell. I have a new perspective of how I want to view my reselling business in 2022. If you would love me to go more into like my numbers, what we made last year, and what are some of our goals that we have for 2022, leave it down in the comments below, because I am still very, very wary on if I want to do that or not. I had a lot of things that I achieved in 2021 that was like monetary gains, but then I also had a lot of personal development, and I don't feel like I can do that video justice if I don't share about some of the growth that I've had personally. And so that's what makes me very nervous about doing that video. The reason why I say all of that, because all of these brands all on their own, it's not to say that they do not sell, because they do sell, but they might be taking a little longer to sell in my store, and they might be selling for a lower average sales price. And that's what I was really starting to take a look at for my 2022. I want to increase our average sales price. And so these are brands that are doing all right, but in my opinion, I could be spending my money better and my time better in 2022, which is why I'm letting go of some of these brands. Even though, like I said, I love Halogen, the brand or the styles that I'm gonna be keeping an eye out for this brand is coats. I've kind of said it almost in every single video lately. Coats do insanely well, and you're gonna see that through this video as well as we're taking a look at these different brands. The quality of these brands' coats are still very phenomenal, and so I'm gonna keep an eye out for Halogen coats, particularly like their puffers and their longer coats. I believe I even saw a trench coat that sold for pretty well. And the Atlantic Pacific style with Halogen. I don't know if it was a collab. I don't know the whole backstory behind this version of Halogen. Generally, when you see the tag, it says like Halogen and then an X and it says Atlantic Pacific, which normally that means that that's like a collab of some sort. We had a few items in that line and it sold amazingly and for a really good price. I think we did hold on to it still a little bit, but that brand or that line of Halogen is still doing very well for us. So we're gonna kind of let go of all the jeans, the pants, the shirts, and stick primarily to those two parts of Halogen. Number 5, this might come as a surprise to you guys, but I'm just gonna say any BCBG brands. It doesn't matter what one it is. At the moment in our store, we have 13 items that are listed, and it takes about 57 days to sell. But even though that sounds less, and you're like, Ashley, why are you letting go of this brand? They sell for so much less than what they used to and what I want to spend my time on. If the item is very bedazzled, if it is a very nice formal dress, if it is any of their leather jackets, I will hands down still pick up those items. Those ones sell for a beautiful rate. Their basics, their sweaters, those categories in this brand, I'm just going to let go of them. If you do find this brand and it is also older tag, I would recommend potentially not getting it. You might be someone who focuses more on an aesthetic in your store and not necessarily a brand. And so if that is the case, disregard that statement. But I have found that BCBG, especially their older stuff, does not move at all. Number 6. This is another one that I'm like, I'm not gonna be picking up hardly anything in this brand anymore, and that is Caslon. You might be seeing a trend here that a lot of these brands are Nordstrom brands, and that's because over the last 2 years, I spent a lot of time trying to learn Nordstrom brands, and so I was pretty much like Anthropology. I was picking up anything that was Nordstrom brand because I was like, surely it sells really well. And I'm here to tell you guys that is not true. Not everything at Nordstrom's sells well. So make sure you're paying attention to what brands are selling super well in their stores. And I could be wrong. You could be looking at some of these brands and going, oh my gosh, these are some bread and butters for us, or oh my gosh, this is something that I find a lot of and I find more of those unique pieces. Absolute disclaimer, this is my business and what I'm seeing through the analytics of my store, and I'm relaying that information to you, so hopefully it's an awareness to make sure you're checking out comps if you see this brand in the future. But I know that everyone is different. I know that we all live in different locations, and so we might find different things. So Caslon is something that I will purchase if it is their leather jackets, or if it's their Chelsea boots. I saw on Poshmark that they had a ton of those that were selling, and for a pretty good price. I feel like it's just because they're so similar to the Doc Martens Chelsea boots, the slide-ons. I personally think that they look great, and I'd buy some myself too if I could find some. Overall, don't want to be picking up this brand. I've already found myself passing on it a lot more, but at the moment we have 16 items in our store, and it averages out about 80 days before the item sells, and it's generally selling for lower than $25. So it is not worth my time in the future. Once again, one that might come as a surprise to you to hear me say, what was my hands trying to do? Number 7 is Eddie Bauer. Now, we're gonna be a little specific with this brand. I still love picking up this brand, do not get me wrong. My average sales price is about $20.11. It takes 111 days for this to sell. We have 34 items in our store right now, but I was looking at the items that have been selling in this brand, and man, any of their coats, any of their snow gear, any of their parkas, none of this should be coming as a surprise to you if you've been on my channel for a while, but I find that that brand does really, really well in those areas. I would probably say I will continue to pick up all those items. One of their lines that also does really well is their First Ascent. Those pieces always do beautifully for us as well, and so I feel like the average sales price in this brand, I can actually pick up a little more if I choose to be a little more specific with the categories that I'm gonna be getting. So I'm gonna probably be skipping on more of their athletic pieces. Those items sell for $20 or less. Their vests, unless they are more of that like puffer or goose filled. Some of their base layer pieces I think would also do fairly well. They might sell pretty quick even if they are maybe a $20, $25 item. And then also their vintage coats. I feel like their vintage coats still also do really well. We found one time at the outlet and it sold so fast, and I felt like it sold for a pretty good price as well. So in this brand, I feel like I just need to be a little more choice because we have Eddie Bauer in our local area. I feel like I get a good plethora of like all their stuff, and so it's just worth being a little more specific in this brand. This next one was a really cool one to dissect as well. Number 8, a brand that I'm gonna be a little more choice on is Joe's Jeans. So this brand was taking like 157 days to sell. The items that were selling quickly in 2021 were my items that I got new with tagged that was in my Jomar big palette that I got. It actually pushed the average sales price of this brand up to $33.40. I'm not just gonna at surface value look at something that says Joe's Jeans and it's at the outlet and so I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna be a little more choice. I'm gonna start to be a little more educated on which tags are their older styles and which tags are their newer styles, because I feel like this brand is doing all right in their newer styles and if it's new with tag. If the price is right, I'm gonna pick it up if it's their newer styles. And I will also be keeping an eye out at their leather bags and their denim and leather jackets. To be honest, I didn't even know that they had that kinds of stuff, but when I was doing research for this video and I was looking up the higher value items on Poshmark with Joe's Jeans brand, they have that stuff, and man, that was selling at a good price. Oh, this is a brand that we need to talk about, and it is number 9, Anthropology. This has been a long time coming, if I'm being honest. I think mentally I've made several decisions about this that I just haven't spoken out loud, but not all Anthropology is created equal anymore. When I first started reselling, it was like a priority of mine to learn the Anthropology brand list and pretty much get anything that was on that list. Like I remember even being on Instagram and people like creating the collages of tags to showcase all the different brands that Anthropology has had in their store. And then over the last 2 years, it's been a little more critiqued. If you find anything that has the brand tag and underneath it, it says for Anthropology, then that suddenly became the more right things to purchase. But I'm feeling like overall at this point for this brand, we have 17 items in our store right now, 20 that sold, but they were ranging from $12 to $60, and they were more averaging around that $20 mark. So the items that I was finding for Anthropology were not the extravagant ones that sell for like hundreds of dollars. So I'm gonna be very much, if I find something's Anthropology, no matter how the inside of me wants to be, which is just take the item because it's Anthropology, I'm gonna be looking up comps on this brand more, well, this company more, because there's a lot of brands underneath it. I will be probably trying to keep an eye out for their wedding line, just kind of like Show Me Your Moo Moo. They do have a wedding gown line that sells for an amazing rate, even at resale value, and you can just look that up on Poshmark. It's amazing what they sell for. So I'll keep an eye out for that. The other categories I'm going to be focusing on with Anthropology are their jackets and their dresses. I think their jeans I need to learn a little bit more about, but overall I'm going to be sticking with those categories in this brand. Number 10 is one that I was just asking you guys about a lot in a video recently, and that brand is Theory. I'm gonna kind of be leaving some of this brand behind. If we are maybe adding some things to thredUP, I've heard that thredUP does a lot with this brand, and so I might still be picking it up to send it that way. At the moment, we have 4 items in our store and 4 have sold this year. So I mean, that's a pretty good rate until you look at how long it was in the store. I think it was like 234 days. Like, it might as well just say a year. So I feel like this brand is one that we need to be a lot more specific on as well. If I can find like their jackets or their purses, I would be a happy camper with this brand. I might say, like with jackets, I might also say blazers, and then maybe some of their pants as well, but I need to do more research with this brand. I definitely need to check out solds when I do see this brand. I need to become more educated on their tags as well, like which ones are their older tags and which one is their newer tag. Again, just because it sells at Nordstrom's does not mean it resells really well. If you are someone who is new to reselling and you're wanting to get educated on how to sell, I just strongly recommend, do not look at a retailer and face value think that they sell things that are astronomical in price. So surely they're gonna do that in the resale world, because it is not true. 2022 is gonna be a great year, but I think we could all learn a little bit about our craft. So leave it down in the comments below. What are some brands that you are gonna be choosing to skip on in the future? And maybe some categories that you're also deciding not to spend too much time on, and maybe ones that you are looking at spending a little more time on. We all live in different areas, and so I know that these brands might vary and the prices might vary on these brands, but I would love to hear from you guys what you are doing to better your craft. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!